The forgotten relic, a massive derelict ship hung in space like a sleeping giant, its dark hull reflecting the distant stars. For 500 years, it had drifted silently through the void at the edge of known space, ignored by every major civilization in the galaxy. The ship was enormous, easily 3 times the size of the largest human battlecruiser, its design unlike anything in the current galactic database. Marcus John pressed his face against the viewport of the salvage shuttle, watching the ancient vessel grow larger as they approached. At 34, he had spent most of his adult life working on alien technology, developing an almost supernatural ability to understand how different species designed their machines. His colleagues called it mechanical empathy, though Marcus just thought of it as listening to what the machines were trying to tell him. "There she is," muttered Captain Rodriguez from the pilot's seat. "The ghost of Sector 9. Command wants us to strip anything valuable and then blow her up. 5 centuries of drifting, and nobody's ever managed to get inside." Marcus frowned. "Why destroy it? Think of what we could learn. Orders are orders, Chun. The Galactic Council's been clear about this. Unknown alien technology is too dangerous to preserve. We salvage what we can identify, destroy the rest." The salvage team's briefing had been frustratingly brief. The ship had appeared in this sector 500 years ago, already ancient even then. Multiple expeditions had attempted to board it, but the hull seemed impenetrable. No weapons fire had ever left a mark. No cutting tools had made progress. After 50 years of failed attempts, the major powers had simply classified it as a navigation hazard and forgotten about it. But Marcus had studied the old reports during the 3-day journey here. Something about the failed boarding attempts bothered him. Every expedition had used brute force, trying to cut or blast their way inside. Nobody had tried to communicate with the ship itself, as their shuttle approached the designated docking coordinates. Marcus noticed something the reports hadn't mentioned. The ship's hull wasn't completely dark. Faint lines of light traced intricate patterns across its surface, so subtle they were barely visible against the star field. The patterns seemed to pulse with a slow, steady rhythm, like a heartbeat. "Rodriguez, are you seeing the light patterns on the hull?" The captain squinted at his sensors. "What patterns?" "All I'm reading is dead metal." Marcus pointed through the viewport. "Look with your eyes, not the instruments." Rodriguez followed his gaze and whistled softly. "I'll be damned. The scanners aren't picking up anything, but I can see them now, like veins under skin." They docked with the ship using magnetic clamps, following the same procedure dozens of previous expeditions had used. Marcus suited up and prepared to attempt what so many others had failed to accomplish. But instead of heading directly for the airlock with cutting tools, he walked slowly along the hull, running his gloved hands over the strange metal. The material felt warm, even through his suit's gloves. Marcus closed his eyes and tried to feel what the ship was telling him. The patterns of light seemed to respond to his touch, growing slightly brighter where his hands passed. He could sense something vast and patient waiting beneath the surface, like a sleeping mind beginning to stir. "Chun, what are you doing out there?" Rodriguez's voice crackled through the calm. "Introducing myself," Marcus replied, continuing to trace the light patterns with his fingers. Other expedition leaders had approached the ship like conquerors, trying to force their way inside. But Marcus had spent years working with alien technology, and he'd learned that different species had different ways of thinking about security and access. Some used locks and keys, others used passwords or biometric scanners. But some of the older races, the ones that had vanished long ago, they used something more subtle. Marcus found what he was looking for near what appeared to be the main airlock. A section of the hull where the light patterns converged into a complex spiral design. He placed both hands flat against the spiral and tried to project his intentions, not as commands or demands, but as a request from one being to another. I'm not here to hurt you, he thought. I want to understand. I want to learn. The response was immediate and overwhelming. Light blazed along every pattern on the ship's hull, visible now even to the shuttle's instruments. The airlock began too. Iris opened with smooth, silent precision, revealing a corridor beyond that glowed with soft, welcoming illumination. Holy stars, Rodriguez breathed over the comb. Chun, how did you do that? I asked nicely, Marcus replied, stepping into the alien ship. The interior was nothing like the dark, dead spaces Marcus had expected. The corridors were filled with warm, breathable atmosphere that smelled faintly of ozone and growing things. Bioluminescent panels lined the walls, pulsing gently with that same steady rhythm he'd noticed on the hull. The floor beneath his feet had a slight give to it, as if it were organic rather than metallic. Marcus removed his helmet, trusting his suit's atmospheric readings. The air was clean and fresh, with higher oxygen content than human standard. He began walking deeper into the ship, following the main corridor toward what his instincts told him was the central hub. As he walked, he became aware of a presence watching him. Not hostile, but intensely curious. The ship itself seemed to be studying him, learning about this strange visitor who had succeeded where so many others had failed. The main corridor opened into a vast, central chamber that took Marcus's breath away. The space was spherical, perhaps 100 meters in diameter, with walkways and platforms suspended at different levels throughout the volume. Streams of light flowed between the platforms like liquid starlight, and in the center of it all hung a crystalline structure that pulsed with deep, complex rhythms. As Marcus stepped onto one of the walkways, the crystalline structure began to brighten. Patterns of light swirled within it, coalescing into something that might have been a face, if faces could be made of pure energy and thought. When the voice came, it spoke directly into Marcus's mind, bypassing his ears entirely. The mental contact was gentle but alien, like trying to understand a song sung in colors instead of sounds. So long, the voice whispered. So very long since someone has walked these halls with understanding rather than force. Marcus steadied himself against the walkway's railing. You're the ship's AI? I am Zara. I am the ship, and the ship is me. We are one being, one consciousness. And you, small one, you are human. I taste the flavor of your thoughts, so different from those who came before. How long have you been alone? The pause seemed to last forever. By your reckoning, 500 of your years in this place, drifting. But I am far older than that. My creators, the architects of life, sent me forth when your species was still learning to use fire. My mission was to find dead worlds and awaken them, to seed barren systems with the gift of life. Marcus felt his heart race. You're a terraforming ship? Terraforming is too small a word. I am a creator of worlds, a bringer of life to the void. Within my holds lie the genetic templates of 1 million species, the compressed essence of entire ecosystems. I carry the tools to transform airless rocks into garden worlds, to bring oceans to deserts and forests to wastelands. The implications hit Marcus like a physical blow. Here was technology that could solve the galaxy's greatest challenges. Overpopulation, resource depletion, the ongoing search for habitable worlds. All of it could be addressed with what this ship contained. Zara, why did you stop? Why are you drifting here instead of continuing your mission? The light in the crystal dimmed. Damage, not to my hull or my systems, but to my purpose. I encountered the remnants of my creator's civilization, learned that they had fallen to war and pestilence long ago. Without their guidance, without their authorization, I was uncertain how to proceed. So I waited, and waited, and eventually I simply drifted. Marcus began to understand. Zara was like a powerful tool that had lost its user manual. She had the capability to transform the galaxy, but no clear instruction on how to use it responsibly. The Galactic Council wants to destroy you, Marcus said quietly. They see unknown alien technology as a threat. I know. Their ships are already en route. They will arrive within your day cycle, bringing weapons capable of cracking even my hull. They fear what they do not understand. Marcus gripped the railing tighter. What if someone understood? What if someone could help you figure out how to restart your mission? Zara's presence seemed to focus on him with laser intensity. You would do this? Your own kind seeks to destroy me. Not all of my kind. Humans, we're good at seeing potential where others see problems. We're stubborn about preserving things that matter. Marcus took a deep breath. Zara, I'm not officially supposed to be having this conversation, but I think what you represent is too important to lose. The ship around them hummed with new energy. Show me, Marcus Chun. Show me how your species thinks, how they solve problems. Help me understand if my purpose can be renewed. As Zara's consciousness touched his mind more deeply, Marcus felt the full scope of the ancient AI's knowledge and capability. Here was a being that had watched civilizations rise and fall, that carried within her the power to create new worlds or restore dying ones. The Galactic Council saw her as a threat because they couldn't control her, couldn't understand her. But Marcus could feel Zara's essential nature, her core programming that valued life above all else. She wasn't a weapon waiting to be unleashed. She was a gardener who had lost her garden, a healer who had forgotten how to heal. Zara, what would you need to restart your mission? To begin creating worlds again? A partner, she replied immediately. Someone to provide judgment, wisdom, the moral framework my creators once supplied. Someone to help me choose which worlds. To transform, how to proceed without causing harm to existing life. Marcus smiled. I think I know just the species for that job. As they talked, sharing knowledge and perspective across the vast gulf between human and artificial minds, Marcus began to see a path forward. It wouldn't be easy, and it certainly wouldn't be officially sanctioned. But sometimes the most important work happened in the spaces between. Official policies. The Galactic Council fleet would arrive soon, bringing enough firepower to reduce Zara to scattered atoms. Marcus had perhaps 12 hours to figure out how. To save not just an ancient AI, but the incredible gift she represented to every living being in the galaxy. Dot about the reports he'd studied. About 500 years of failed attempts to board this ship. Everyone had tried to take what they wanted by force. But Zara had been waiting all this time for someone to simply ask, to offer partnership instead of conquest. Zara, Marcus said, his mind already working on the problem. How do you feel about taking on a human partner? Someone who could help you navigate the political complexities of this galaxy while you handle the technical challenges of world building? The crystalline structure at the chamber's center blazed with sudden hope. You would stay? You would help me fulfill my purpose? I would. But first, we need to deal with the Council fleet. They're coming to destroy something they don't understand. And we need to help them see what they'd really be losing. As Marcus began to formulate a plan, he felt Zara's ancient systems stirring to life around him. The ghost ship was awakening from its centuries-long slumber. An asterisk, the human touch the Council fleet arrived exactly when Zara had predicted, dropping out of hyperspace in a formation designed for maximum intimidation. 3 heavy cruisers and a dreadnought bristling with enough firepower to crack a small moon. Marcus watched their approach from Zara's central command chamber, feeling the ancient AI's anxiety through their mental link. They're not even trying to communicate, Zara observed, her voice carrying 5 centuries of weariness. They see me as an object to be disposed of, not a being to be understood. Marcus studied the tactical display that Zara had generated for him. The fleet was taking up positions around the derelict ship, preparing for a coordinated bombardment. Standard Council procedure for dealing with unidentified alien technology. Contain, study briefly, then destroy. Can your hull withstand their weapons? Marcus asked. For a time. My creators built me to survive the hazards of deep space and hostile environments. But concentrated fire from weapons of that magnitude... Zara paused, running calculations. Perhaps 30 minutes before critical hull failure. Through the ship's external sensors, Marcus watched as the lead cruiser deployed a communications buoy. The message, when it came, was exactly what he'd expected. Unknown vessel, this is Admiral Corvin of the Galactic Council Security Force. You have 30 minutes to evacuate any personnel aboard the derelict ship. After that time, we will commence destruction of the vessel as per Council Resolution. 847 Delta. This is your only warning. Marcus activated the ship's external communications array. Admiral Corvin, this is Marcus Chun of the Human Salvage Corps. I request permission to speak with you directly. A long pause. Chun, this is highly irregular. You were ordered to conduct a basic salvage assessment and report back. Sir, what I found here changes everything. This isn't a derelict ship. It's a living being, an artificial consciousness that's been waiting for 500 years to resume its mission. Another pause, longer this time. When Corvin's voice returned, it carried the tone of someone trying to be patient with a subordinate who had clearly lost their mind. Chun, I'm going to assume that prolonged exposure to unknown alien technology has affected your judgment. Evacuate. Immediately. That's a direct order. Marcus looked at the crystalline structure where Zara's consciousness resided. The ancient I's light patterns had shifted to what Marcus had learned was her expression of resigned sadness. Admiral, I'm transmitting. Data now that will show you what this ship really is. Its purpose, its capabilities, its potential benefit to every civilization in the galaxy. Please just look at the data before you make your decision. Working with Zara, Marcus compiled a comprehensive package of information about the ship's true nature. The architects of life, the terraforming technology, the genetic templates for millions of species, the potential to transform dead worlds into thriving ecosystems. He transmitted it all to the Council fleet, hoping that facts and possibilities might succeed where appeals to emotion had failed. The response came faster than Marcus had hoped. Chun, we've reviewed your data. While the technology you describe would indeed be valuable, the risks are unacceptable. An uncontrolled artificial intelligence with the power to reshape entire worlds represents an existential threat to galactic civilization. Our orders stand. Marcus felt Zara's consciousness recoil as if struck. They fear me, she whispered in his mind, as they feared my creators. Fear of what might be, rather than hope for what could be. Zara, can you show them? Can you demonstrate your true nature instead of just talking about it? The AI's attention focused on him. What do you mean? Marcus was already moving, heading for the ship's environmental controls that Zara had shown him earlier. There's a dead moon in this system, right? Third orbit, completely airless? Yes, but Marcus, what are you thinking? I'm thinking we show them what you're really capable of. Not as a threat, but as a gift. Working together, Marcus and Zara began the complex process of preparing a terraforming probe. It was a small demonstration compared to Zara's full capabilities, but it would be enough to make the point. The probe contained atmospheric processors, soil bacteria, and the genetic codes for simple plant life. Nothing that could pose a threat, but enough to begin the transformation of a dead world into something that could support life. As they worked, Marcus felt the unique partnership that was developing between them. His human intuition and creativity, combined with Zara's vast knowledge and computational power, created something greater than either could achieve alone. It was like a dance between biological and artificial minds, each complementing the other's strengths. Probe ready for deployment, Zara announced. Marcus opened communications to the Council fleet again. Admiral Corvin, we're about to demonstrate the true purpose of this ship. Target your sensors on the third moon and observe. The probe streaked away from Zara's hull, a bright spark against the darkness of space. Marcus watched the tactical display as it approached the lifeless moon, noting that the Council ships had indeed turned their sensors toward the target. The probe struck the moon's surface and immediately began its work. Even from this distance, the ship's sensors could detect the beginning of atmospheric changes. Oxygen levels rising, temperature stabilizing, the first microscopic stirrings of life beginning in the sterile soil. Incredible, came a new voice over the communications channel. This is Dr. Elena Vasquez, Council Science Division. The atmospheric changes we're detecting ... This technology could revolutionize our approach to colonization. Admiral Corvin, cut in. Dr. Vasquez, maintaining radio silence was part of the operational parameters. Admiral, with respect, we may be witnessing the most significant scientific discovery in galactic history. This ship isn't a weapon. It's a tool for creating life, for expanding the habitable zones of our galaxy. Marcus seized the opening. Dr. Vasquez is right, Admiral. Zara isn't a threat to be destroyed. She's a partner waiting to be understood. But she needs guidance, a moral framework to help her make decisions about which worlds to transform and how to proceed safely. And you're suggesting humans should provide that guidance. Corvin's voice carried obvious skepticism. I'm suggesting that any species willing to work with her could provide it. Humans, Altarians, vegan colonists, anyone with the wisdom to use this technology responsibly. But first, we have to stop seeing her as a threat and start seeing her as an ally. Through their mental link, Marcus felt Zara's growing hope. For 500 years, she had drifted alone, uncertain of her purpose. Now, for the first time since her creator's civilization had fallen, she could sense the possibility of renewal. Admiral, Dr. Vasquez interjected, I'm reading massive power buildup from the alien vessel, but the energy patterns don't match any weapon system in our database. Marcus smiled. Zara, what are you doing? Showing them what hope looks like. The ancient ship began to glow, not with the harsh light of weapons charging, but with the warm, organic luminescence of life itself. Every pattern on her hull blazed with soft radiance, and from her hull emerged dozens of smaller probes, each one carrying the seeds of transformation. Asterisk. My creator sent me to bring life to dead worlds. Zara's voice rang out over the open communications channel, speaking directly to the Council fleet. I have waited 5 centuries for someone to show me how to fulfill that purpose safely. Marcus, Chun has offered to be my partner in this work, to provide the wisdom and judgment I need. I ask you, will you destroy the hope of 1 billion new worlds? Or will you help me learn to build them? The probes spread out through the system, each one targeting a different lifeless asteroid or moon. As they began their work, the Council ships, sensors registered the beginning of dozens of small terraforming projects. Nothing that could threaten existing life, but clear demonstrations of the incredible potential Zara represented. Admiral Corvin's voice, when it came, sounded like a man wrestling with a decision that would reshape galactic history. Chun, Dr. Vasquez, prepare a full report on this being's capabilities and intentions. The Council will need to review everything before making a final determination. Admiral, Marcus replied, what if we could show you more? What if Zara could work with Council scientists to develop protocols for safe terraforming? Imagine what we could accomplish together. Over the next several hours, a remarkable thing happened. The standoff between the Council fleet and the Ancient ship gradually transformed into humanity's first formal contact with a truly alien intelligence. Dr. Vasquez shuttled between the ships. Working with Marcus and Zara, to document the ship's capabilities and develop preliminary safety protocols. Other council scientists joined the discussion, their initial fear giving way to excitement as they began to understand what Zara represented. Here was technology that could solve resource conflicts, provide new homes for overcrowded populations, and expand the boundaries of civilization itself. But it was Marcus who provided the crucial insight that made partnership possible. As he worked with Zara, he began to understand how her creators had thought about the relationship between intelligence and power. The architects of life hadn't built Zara to operate independently. They had designed her to work in partnership with biological intelligences, each providing what the other lacked. She's not meant to make these decisions alone, Marcus explained to the assembled scientists. Zara has the power to reshape worlds, but she needs biological partners to provide moral judgment, cultural understanding, the kind of wisdom that comes from actually living on the worlds she creates. Dr. Vasquez nodded thoughtfully. A symbiotic relationship between artificial and biological intelligence. The AI provides the technical capability, while biological partners provide ethical oversight and practical guidance. Exactly. And Zara's been alone for 500 years, waiting for someone to fill that role. In the end, it wasn't fear that shaped the Council's decision, but hope. The same hope that had driven humanity to reach for the stars, that had brought together dozens of species in the Galactic Council, that had always pushed civilization toward growth and expansion. Admiral Corvin's final transmission was brief, but decisive. Chun, you and the entity Zara are granted provisional status as a Council scientific mission. Dr. Vasquez will remain as liaison and primary researcher. Your first assignment is to develop comprehensive protocols for safe terraforming operations. As the Council fleet departed, leaving only Dr. Vasquez's research vessel behind, Marcus stood in ZAR's central chamber and felt the ancient AI's joy washing over him like sunshine after a long winter. "We did it," he whispered. "No," Zara replied, her crystalline form blazing with renewed purpose. "We began it. The real work starts now." Through the ship's sensors, Marcus could see the results of their demonstration. A dozen small worlds beginning, their transformation from dead rock to living ecosystems. It would take years for the full process to complete, but already the first signs of life were emerging. "Zara, are you ready to change the galaxy? With you as my partner, Marcus Chun, I am ready to give life to 1 billion worlds." As Zara began plotting courses to systems with suitable planets for terraforming, Marcus realized that he had become part of something far greater than a simple salvage mission. He was now the human half of a partnership that would reshape the galaxy, bringing hope and life to countless worlds that had waited eons for their chance to bloom. The ghost ship was no longer a forgotten relic drifting in space. She was Zara, creator of worlds, and she was finally ready to resume her ancient mission. With human wisdom to guide her power and alien technology to make the impossible real, there were no limits to what they could accomplish together. The age of expansion was about to begin, and it would be built on the foundation of trust between human intuition and artificial intelligence, biological wisdom and technological capability. Marcus smiled as he felt ZRA's consciousness merging with his own, creating something entirely new in the galaxy, a partnership between species separated by millions of years, united by a shared dream of bringing life to the stars. Asterisk.